Hello Internet! So nice to see you. Today we talk about one of the most versatile little tricks in music theory. It's a little trick in the sense that it's super easy to understand, but it's versatile because there are thousands and thousands of variations of this thing. And indeed, as we're going to see, people have called all those variations with different names, and so it's kind of a mess. If you go on Google and search those things, it's kind of a mess. Everybody defines this in a different way. So I'm going to give you the skinny. I'm going to give you a simple version that works and you can apply immediately. And this trick I'm going to show you works great for melodies. It also works great for chords. If you use these on the top voice of a chord, but it works great for melodies too, again. So, what is this? The trick I'm going to show you today, it's called neighbor notes, okay? Which is a very non-sexy name, if you want, okay? Really, we should find the better names for all those things, because I would call it sexy tones. But, I mean, that's what we are stuck with, neighbor notes. What is a neighbor note? So let's say you are playing over one chord, okay? Let's start with one chord so it's easy. And let's say this chord is C major, okay? Now, I can play a neighbor note by playing one of the notes in this chord, and I'm going to take the C note, then playing the note that is one step up or down in the scale from this note. I'm going to go up to a D, and then immediately going down again to a C. So over the C major chord, I'm going to play C, then D, then C. And this D is our neighbor note to C. Of course, I can also go down. I can go C, B, C. Now again, this may seem like a small thing, okay? But let's hear how these work in the hand of a master. Let me take this very same thing by moving everything down to frets. So let's play a B flat major and make the B flat note go down to an A and up again. So you see, this trick looks very simple at first, but if you apply it, you can get great melodies out of it. You definitely didn't expect this little trick to create this great melody. Of course, you're gonna tell me it's also because the chords under it are changing and all those kind of things, and I would agree with you, but everything started with that neighbor note. So that's the basic trick. So let's see some variation. The first variation is that we can go up and down following the scale, but we can also go up and down following the chromatic scale instead. And now, to be fair, the chromatic scale is used only on one side. Let me take the C major chord with the E note at the top. And now I'm gonna go up and down. If I go down, I'm gonna go E, D, E. But I can go down chromatically, meaning E, D sharp, E. When we go up, in this specific situation with the E note over the C major chord, the F is both the note in the scale and the note in the chromatic scale, so nothing changes there. But let's try this again with the C note over the C major chord. If I go down again, it's C, B, C, so again, in this case it's the same for diatonic and chromatic. But if I go up, I have C, D, C, which is different if I use the chromatic scale, C, D flat, C. Now, here is where the opinion of musicians differ sharply, because most people like diatonic above, diatonic below, and chromatic below, but only a few people like the chromatic above. I have no problem with you if you like or if you don't like the sound of the upper chromatic neighbor note. I'm just remarking here that in most manual and sources of music theory, these notes are discouraged because, again, some people like them, some people don't like them, and they're pretty hard on the ear. On the other hand, if you play something like, I don't know, technical death metal, those kind of notes are there all the time, okay? So it's completely up to you if you want to use them or not. Now, all the examples we've seen so far are what we call complete neighbor notes. With complete means that first we play the original chord tone, then we play the neighbor, and then we resolve again back to the original chord note. There is also such a thing as incomplete neighbor note. When you don't play the original chord tone, you go straight on the neighbor note, and then just after you resolve it to the original chord note. Those sound a little bit more dissonant, which could be a good thing for you, okay? For instance, let's see what happens if I take an F major chord with the root on top, the F, and rather than playing the F immediately, I play a G before, so that's an upper diatonic neighbor note. So again, super simple trick, but the opening of yesterday is iconic, and it is just an incomplete upper diatonic neighbor note. So yeah, totally and definitely worth be studying. Another typical trick is to use an incomplete chromatic lower neighbor note, meaning every time you change chord, don't just play a chord note as the top voice, but play the note one fret below and then resolve it into your chord note. When you do something like that, you get something that sounds kinda like Mozart. Example. Another very popular variation is to play both the upper and the lower neighbor note, whether you have them chromatic or diatonic. So again, optionally you play the original chord note, then you play either the upper or the lower neighbor note, then you play the other neighbor note, and then you resolve both of them into the chord note. So for instance, if I play a C chord with an E note on top, it sounds this way. This is with diatonic note. With chromatic note, it will sound this other way. And of course, you can omit the first note and get an incomplete double neighbor note. Those are all fragments of melodies that you can use in your song, and indeed if you sit down with a chord or two and start doing this with the notes of those two chords, you're gonna have tons and tons of ideas for your songs. Now, before we go on ahead, what I just played, the double neighbor note, gets several different names in the literature. Some people call this a cambiata. Some people, on the other hand, call cambiata a completely different thing, which we're going to cover in a different video. Some people, especially jazz players, call this an enclosure, meaning that those two notes enclose a chord tone. Now, all that we did today doesn't make any sense until you grab your guitar and start to play those things on your instrument. Because one thing is to talk about that, and one thing is to actually play, hear their sounds, and make them work. Again, if you just listen to this video and see all these, you go away from this video thinking, well, so what? It's just a trick. But when you grab your guitar and start playing those things, you notice that the ideas start flowing and you can start writing music with that. Now, of course, all of this gets way, way, way easier if you know where all your chords are. Because, I mean, if it takes half an hour for you to find out the correct position for the C major chord, that you have an E note on top and you can play the other two notes, well, then it's no fun, right? Because you're spending most of your time trying to find the position of the chord. So, if this is your problem and you want to resolve this, I recommend you guys check out my course, Complete Chord Mastery, where in the very beginning of the course, I am fixing this problem by showing you how to see chords all over your fretboard, okay? So, again, I know I may sound like an infomercial, and in a sense I am, but hey, this course helped a lot of people, and if you need help on this, by all means, go check it out and let me know if you like it. And if you have questions, of course, write me, and I can answer all your questions. And if you like this video, please smash on that like button. Smash sounds so 2016 at this point, no? But smash on that like button and crush the subscribe button. Do some other horrible thing to the comments. Write your comments. write me your questions because I love reading your questions and answering them. And again, if you need anything, just write something in the comments and let's see what I can do for you. And this is Tommaso Ziglia of musictheoryforguitar.com. And until next time, enjoy.